Welcome to One Plate Kitchen, where we do three things. Number one, we save you money at the grocery store. Number two, we save you time in the kitchen. And number three, we use food as medicine to make delicious meals that are easy, fun, and healthy. When we use food as medicine, something incredible happens. We start to feel better emotionally, mentally, and physically. And isn't that what we all want? It's not about big changes, it's simple. And here, we're always gonna do it one plate at a time. Let's get cooking. Hey, Chef Rich here, and I'm so excited to share with you my new cookbook. Now, I have to say, it's more than just a cookbook. It's a starting point to unlocking and using the amazing power of food as medicine. Now, besides having the great recipes from season 1 and 2 of our TV show, One Plate Kitchen, it also contains our One Plate 5 Bs. Now, these 5 Bs are special. We created them to be impactful and make your health journey easier, less stressful, and successful. They'll serve as encouragement, motivating and inspiring you to embrace a lasting and realistic health journey. They're going to support you when you need it and push you forward when you're ready. So how do you get your copy? Go to our website to our shopping page and look for our e-cookbook. Yes, it is an e-book, and we did this for 2 reasons. Number one, the cost. By doing an e-cookbook, we can keep the cost way down. Now you're going to get all these incredible life-changing techniques and tools for less than one fast food meal. Number two, when you download it, you can bring it everywhere you go. Whether you're shopping at the grocery store or talking to your friends about healthy foods, we're there with you. It's like taking me everywhere you go. Now, we understand that the path to building healthy habits is not a one-size-fits-all approach. That's why everything we do is designed to meet you exactly where you're at. We're going to encourage you when you need it the most and then challenge you when you're ready to push forward. Whether you're striving to lose weight, improve your health, or just get a sense of balance mentally, emotionally, and physically, we're here for you. So why wait? None of us are promised tomorrow. So take control today and act now. God bless, and I'll see you in the kitchen. Hey, I'm Chef Rich, and welcome to One Plate Kitchen. The weather's getting a little cooler outside. The holidays are coming, and we have a ton of leftovers. And one of the things I love to do with leftovers, because I don't like to have them linger around the kitchen forever and ever, is I like to do soups with them. With a soup, you get to do a million different things with it. You get to get so many different flavor profiles in there. And the best thing is we get to use up everything in the fridge. So today, we're going to make a fall autumn soup. All right, now a lot of these ingredients are interchangeable, so remember, whatever you have in your fridge, you can adapt it to this soup. All right, so now since you know what we're making, let's take a look at the stars of the show, the ingredients. So what we have here is we have an onion. Now again, you can use a Vidalia onion, you can use a red onion, you can use whatever onion you want. It's totally up to you. We have some beautiful baby carrots. If you had just regular carrots, you can definitely use those. We have some beautiful celery that we cut up and we're going to use today. We have garlic, we have beautiful mushrooms, and I love mushrooms. They give you a lot of texture and a lot of flavor, so I love to use those. Then we have some stuff over here that most people don't eat, and I don't know why, because it tastes incredible. And I think the way they eat it really turns people off. All right, we have kale. When we use it in the soup, it breaks down and it really tastes incredible. We have some shrimp that we're going to use. Now again, if I had leftover turkey, I'd be using leftover turkey with this. If you had fish, you could put fish in there. Chicken, you can put chicken in there. You can adapt it to whatever you want. All right, whatever leftovers you have, that's what's going in there. We have everybody's best friend, our one plate herb salt. We have 2 spices in here. Now we have a cayenne. Cayenne is really spicy, so if you didn't like it spicy, you don't have to put it in. And then we have some paprika in there. Paprika gives it like a smoky, earthy flavor, which is really nice. But again, if you didn't like it, you don't have to put it in. One of the things I want you to do this year is I want you to kind of expand your flavor profiles. I want you to try different herbs and different spices, and you'll see once we make them certain ways, it brings a whole new flavor that you might not have been used to before. So please do me a favor and just try it. We have some beautiful coconut milk that we're going to use. It's going to give it like a really creamy texture with some good fat in there. We have leftover rice. Now I know everybody has leftover rice in their refrigerator and they don't know what to do with it. This is what you can do with it. You can make an incredible soup, which makes a full, complete meal. And then we also have some incredible chicken stock. Now you can use any stock you wanted to. If you had vegetable stock, or if you had even fish stock, you can get away with fish stock only because we're using shrimp. If you had vegetable stock and we wanted to add more vegetables to it, you definitely can. If you just had water, and then we could definitely use water. All right, we're still gonna make it really, really delicious, even if we're just using water. So that's totally up to you. Now, since you know everything we're making, there's only one thing left to do. Let's start cooking. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna start to heat my pan up. And I started heating it up already. So you're gonna notice today, we're not gonna really use any fat. All right, I'm gonna heat my pan up a little bit, and I'm gonna get my onions in there. So I'm gonna cut my onions up. And again, how you cut them up, that is totally up to you. Now with this one, I like to kind of keep things in order as much as possible. So I know I have a lot of dice in there and a lot of cubes in there, so I want to kind of do the same thing with this. I'm going to get in there and then start cutting this up. Super easy, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get my other onion in there and cut this up. All right, you don't need to make it all fancy. It's not necessary. And because we're cutting it up so fast, no tears. So we're going to get this in there. So that's gonna get in there, start sizzling up a little bit. Now the reason we can get away with no oil today is one, I'm making a soup. 2, I'm adding mushrooms next. Mushrooms have a lot of moisture. So whatever things that might stick to the bottom of the pan are gonna be picked up by the mushrooms. Now if I wasn't using mushrooms, then I could add a little bit of oil in there. Remember, only a teaspoon of oil is all you need in here to cook. So I'm gonna mix these up. And with a dry pan like that, and when we say a dry pan, what we mean is there's no fat in there. With a dry pan, you really start to get the aromas of that onion. So at this point, I'm gonna add a little bit of the spices. And the reason I wanna add them now, there's some spices that when you add them, they need time to really release their flavor. And once you add like a dry spice, it's always good to kind of cook them out. Let them cook, let them get a little hot. What will happen is you'll get a lot more flavor that way. Now, you have to be very, very careful because it's a dry spice that we just put in there. There's a really good chance it can burn. All right, so we want to keep an eye on that. I'm just gonna mix this in a little bit. And you can see in here how it looks. All right, we're getting a lot of color in there. We're getting a lot of flavor in there. And if you could smell it, once you try this at home, I know once you smell it, it smells incredible. It really has some earthy tones to it. You smell a little bit of the spice, which is okay. Now, next thing I'm gonna get in there is my mushrooms. Now, I like all kinds of mushrooms. For this one, we're using like a white button mushroom. But again, you can use any mushroom you want. You can use a cremini, you can use a portobello, you can use a shiitake. You can use any kind you want. That's totally up to you. Or don't add any mushrooms in here at all. That's totally up to you. Now again, I like to cut these a little chunky. All right, it's going to give me a lot of texture in there as this cooks. So I just cut it one way, I take it, cut it the other way, and then I'm done. All right, then I'm going to start to add all of these into my pot. I'm gonna get the rest of these guys in there too. At this point, what I can do is I can turn the heat up a little bit because a lot of that moisture now is gonna start to come out of those mushrooms. Oh my goodness, I wish you could smell this. Now to help that along, what I'm gonna do is add everybody's best friend, a little 1 plate herb salt. So how does that help? So what that salt does is it kind of attracts to the mushroom and to the onion. As it goes, it starts to break down and it takes a lot of that moisture out. So it draws a lot of the moisture out, which again, moisture at this point is our friend because that moisture is also flavor. Because I'm doing a soup, I want all that moisture out. Let's say if I was going to do a sauteed item like a pasta. Okay, I don't want too much of that liquid out, so I wouldn't really season it too much. But because I'm doing a soup, I want a lot of that moisture out. And you can see at the bottom of the pan, nothing is really sticking at all, which is great. That's what we want. We're just starting to develop a lot of flavor in there. So don't be scared when you make your soups. Don't add any extra fat when we don't need to. All right, we're not going to get much flavor out of it because we're adding so little anyway. So try to do it without it. I'm going to mix this up a little bit more. Okay, that's good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my celery. Now I'm a huge fan of celery. I'm going to get that in there. I think celery has an amazing texture to it, and it's got great flavor too. One of the things I love about celery, which kills me when I see people do this, is they take this part and they just throw it away. I love to take these out, and what I'll do with this is I'll just break these out and I'm going to save this. When I'm done with everything, I'm just going to chop these up really fine and just add it to the soup. I can add these to a salad. I can add these to so many different dishes. It gives us so much more flavor. So I'm just going to put it over here for now. I'm going to take this other little piece and just chop this up. And then get this into my soup too. So I'm just going to stir this around. You can see the color that's in here already. All right, you're getting an amazing color. You see all the greens and now the browns and then the reds from the spices that are in there. So you're getting tons of different color. For me, whenever I cook, I always like to translate color into flavor. All right, the more colors I have in a dish that I make, that means the more flavors I'm going to have. That means the more textures I'm going to have. That means the more nutritional value we're going to bring to our diet. And that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure that we eat healthy, and we don't have to break the bank to eat healthy. And that's one of the craziest things that I hear. That's one of the craziest things that I hear all the time is, oh, eating healthy is expensive. I can't afford to eat healthy. You know, that's ridiculous. Or you can see this, it doesn't cost a lot of money. And most of the stuff that we're using is leftovers. It's stuff that I had in my fridge anyway. All right, so once you learn good technique and how some flavors work together, you can make amazing dishes that are super inexpensive, that are very good for you and taste delicious. And if you have any questions, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you out in any things that you guys have. And you can see, when we first started, we started to get a lot of that thing sticking to the bottom of the pan. You see how clean the pan is? What's happening now is all that mushroom is releasing a lot of that water. And now it's just easily picking all that stuff up. All that, like the sticky, it's called fond. All right, the sticky fond that was at the bottom of the pan, all that's getting picked up now, which is just adding tons of flavor to the actual dish itself. All right, that's what we want to happen. All right, that's good cooking technique right there. All right, so I'm gonna let this go a little bit. I can actually turn the heat up some too. Next thing I'm gonna add in there is gonna be my carrots. So I'm gonna get these carrots tossed in there. And I left the carrots a little chunky. And again, the reason why, because it's a soup. I want it to be nice and hearty. Now you can see the color we have in there is just incredible. All right, now it's gonna give me a lot of different textures. And again, one of the things I love about leaving, or about just knife skills in general, one of the things I love about knife skills in general is that it can give me different enjoyments, we'll say, out of what I'm making. If I was gonna puree this up, it gives me more of a mouthfeel that's very, very smooth and creamy, which is nice. You know, but on cold days, what I'm looking for is something that's a little bit heartier. Something that I just get a bowl of and I'm good, because it's very, very satiating, or it leaves me nice and full because I have everything I need in there. So knife skills for me are really important because I can make it how I want to make it. If I want it to be a really hearty meal, I put big chunks in there. If I want to make it something really smooth and delicate, and then I'm going to chop it up a little bit finer, or maybe even puree it up. All right, so how you want to serve this is totally up to you. All right, but just kind of add those two together next time, you know, when you're making your soups. Okay, that's incredible. I wish you could smell it. I'm gonna add my garlic to this. Now with garlic, if you've seen one show, you know we cook garlic just till aroma. Once I add my garlic to there and I can smell it, then I know, okay, it's time to move on. So I'm gonna give this a stir, and you can see here how it looks. I mean, we have beautiful color in there. It looks incredible. It smells amazing. I'm gonna mix this in now and just let it sit. This smells so incredible. I wish you could taste it, but I know you're gonna taste it when you make this at home. And we have a couple more ingredients to add. One of the things, like I get to talk to a lot of people, and I really thank you for that. We always talk about, okay, what do you do with leftovers? What do you do with leftovers? And the number one leftover that everyone has is rice. What do I do with leftover rice? And what happens is they tend to, after a couple of days, they just throw it away because it gets really dry, which is great. All right, when it gets to that stage, I always want you to think of making a soup out of it, making a stir fry out of it. Dry old rice does incredible dishes that fresh cooked rice can't make. All right, so always think about that. So what we're going to do this one now is I'm going to add my rice to this. And this is about 2 cups of rice I will add to this. And again, what's our mission? We're trying to make an entire meal out of this one dish. And you can see now, it's starting to look pretty amazing. All right, so that rice now, because it was so dry, it'll start to absorb a lot of the liquid and the moisture that's in there, which is great, because what it's going to do now is every bite of rice I get is going to have that incredible flavor in there. Then I'm just going to add just a pinch of some herb salt. Remember, when we add flavors, we also want to add some seasoning to it. Now, there's 2 schools of thought with this. I can add a layer of flavor, and then I can add some seasoning. Then I can add another layer of flavor, and then add some seasoning. Or I can just start adding layer after layer after layer, and then at the end of it, when everything is cooked, I can season it then. Either one you want to do, that's totally up to you. All right, no matter what, we're always going to add up with about the same amount of seasoning or herb salt that we put in there, either way. But I always like to add a layer and then season, add a layer and then season. Then I'm just going to stir this up here. You can see this looks so incredible. I could just eat this just right. I mean, just take a big bowl of it right now, or a big spoonful of it, and just eat it just the way it is. All right, next thing I'm going to put in there is kale. I really love kale. I don't necessarily love it in like a salad. I'm not a huge fan of kale in a salad, but kale in a soup or kale in like a stew, oh my goodness, I love the texture that it gives. All right, so we want to definitely use it. And again, nutritionally, I mean, this is power packed with a lot of good stuff. Vitamins and minerals and all kinds of good things that we want. Again, now all I do is get in there and just mix this in. And you can see oh my goodness, the smell is so incredible. And you can see all the colors that are in there. It just looks delicious. All right, so that's in there. Next thing that goes in is going to be the liquids. So first thing I'm going to put in is my chicken stock. I'm gonna save some chicken stock for the end. I can always add more in, but if it's in, I can't take it out. All right, I'm also gonna add some of our coconut milk, which is also gonna give me more liquid. So I'm just gonna add this first. Now I'm gonna go with my coconut milk. Now I got my coconut milk added, I got my chicken stock added. I'm gonna give it a little stir just to make sure it's incorporated well. And can you see how incredible that looks? Now we haven't added our shrimp in yet. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bring this to a boil. So while I bring this to a boil, I want you to take a look at this. Hey, Chef Rich here, and I want to officially introduce you to my one plate herb salt. Now this is the perfect all-in-one seasoning that I carefully handcrafted to enhance any dish. Now our proprietary herb blend not only provides delicious flavor, but also offers antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties for the health-conscious eater. Now it's also packed with vitamins and minerals, and that green hue comes from the natural chlorophyll found in fresh herbs. To get some for yourself, visit our website. You can see it's come up to a boil. It's simmering nicely. The consistency of it is like really creamy because we didn't add all that chicken stock, and we added that coconut milk. It gives it like a really creamy texture. And what happens also is that rice starts to release a lot of its starch and also adds to that creamy texture. So that's looking good. I'm going to turn that heat down a little bit. Now at this point, I'm going to add my shrimp to it. Now you can add any size shrimp you want to this. It's totally up to you. All right, I always like to cut my shrimp in half. So whether I'm using like different sizes, and you'll see, whatever size I'm going to use, I'll always chop it up. Now, the reason I like to chop it up is that way when I go to serve it, everybody gets some shrimp. All right, if I leave it whole, sometimes if somebody gets lucky and they get a big spoonful of like all the shrimp because they didn't cut it in half or cut it in little pieces. All right, so I always like to cut it up. Now, so when you go to cook shrimp, there's a couple things that you're looking for. One, I want to make sure my soup is like 90% cooked, because I know once I put it in there, I only got about 3 minutes left. Two, I want to make sure once I add it, I stir it up and make sure it's incorporated over everything. And then three, I'm going to start looking for the color of it. When shrimp starts to cook, it'll go from like almost like a translucent clear color to a more opaque white color. And then you'll see like little lines of orange start to pop out. Those are great indicators that your shrimp is almost done. All right, so I would definitely set a timer, set it for 2 to 3 minutes. Remember, depending on the size of the shrimp. And then that's it. When we added our carrots, we want to make sure our carrots are cooked all the way too. All right, so that would be one thing I'm going to look at before I added my shrimp. I checked before, so I know my carrots are cooked, but you want to make sure that your carrots are like 90% done before I add my shrimp to it. Because once the shrimp are done, cooking time is over. All right, that means it's time to serve and it's time to eat. And this smells so good. I know you're going to want to dig into this as quick as possible. All right, so it's been a couple minutes now. I can look at my shrimp and I say, yep, they're curled up nicely. The color is beautiful. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's to serve and to eat. But before I do that, I want to taste it. I want to make sure my seasoning is right on point. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the broth. I say, oh my goodness, you get a little bit of spice. The thing I love about cayenne is it takes a little bit of time to really bloom. When we say bloom, it means to really take on its flavor. It takes a little bit of time. Cayenne is one of those things that sneaks up on you. So when you taste it, it's not like up front in your face, like almost like a Tabasco. When you taste Tabasco sauce, it's like, here I am, super hot. When you cook with cayenne, what happens is it more kind of sneaks up on you. It gets you right in the back of the throat where it's not super spicy, but it just gives you enough where it's like, oh my goodness, where did that come from? I want more. All right, so it's like a warming heat, but it's not like oh, I can't eat anymore. All right, so I guarantee you're gonna love this recipe. So now let's start serving this thing up. So I'm gonna go in there with my little spoon and just start plating this thing up. And basically, I mean, that's it. I always like to clean my edges. I know I'm not in a restaurant anymore, but I think a clean plate is important. So I told you before, my celery, I don't like to get rid of it. I love to use it because it has incredible flavor, and this is when we're gonna add it. So I'm just gonna take this and I'm just gonna mince this up a little bit. Remember, because we have our celery in there, I want to add this beautiful fresh herb on top of it. And it's gonna give me that really fresh, aromatic celery aroma, but also that fresh celery taste, which is incredible too. So that's it. Your whole dish done. And this is easily enough to feed 4 to 5 people, you know, with a proper portion size. And it's, if you look at it, the majority of it is leftovers with a little bit of shrimp. All right? It doesn't get any easier than this. So that's it. Getting healthy doesn't have to be super complicated or expensive. And we can do it with one plate at a time. So always remember, one plate, one health. I'll see you next week. This thing is delicious. That's hot. Whew. A little spice. Love it. It's warming. Carrots are beautifully cooked. There's a ton of texture in there. I love it. Getting healthy isn't complicated. And it tastes delicious.